It'd have to happen eventually, but unfortunately, Gabriel Jesus is no longer a Manchester City player, and I'm absolutely gutted. I am genuinely really gutted about this little bit of news. It isn't surprising, and we've known it's coming for an awful long time, but things can be obvious, but still heartbreaking at the same time. Jesus is a player that I will always love because he's brought me so much joy, so much energy, so much commitment, so much work rate, and so much brilliance over the years with a huge and humble I guess huge and honest dash of humility to his game. So Jesus going, this is a big moment for Manchester City. It is symbolic of a changing of guard, I guess, at City. Even though maybe he didn't always have the exact career he wanted at City, I think it's fair to say everything we've achieved over the past few years, it wouldn't be the same without Gabriel Jesus. Now, Arsenal, of course, are the ones who stepped in and signed him. He's gone to join his former coach, of course, Mikel Arteta, a man that I'm sure he had no even doubts to work with again, a man that he enjoyed being at Manchester City with, and I wish him all the best over at Arsenal. I genuinely do. I hope he has a stinker against us, but ultimately, I feel like Jesus is the kind of player that wherever he goes, you still want him to succeed because there is nothing that he never left on the pitch. Honestly, that guy left everything out there for those 90 minutes. So Jesus, to me, he leaves essentially with all the best goodwill in the world, and I do want him to succeed. And at the same time, I probably wouldn't be surprised if he did. Jesus, 6 years at Manchester City now. Gabby, you left a mark on this club. You really did. You helped us achieve things that I didn't really ever think were going to be possible. Obviously, the most memorable moment will always be the Centurions moment. That 17-18 campaign, the composure in the last minute to lift the ball over the goalkeeper to secure 100 points was sort of symbolic in the end of Gabriel Jesus' career at Manchester City. A man that definitely revelled in the big moments. He really genuinely did. He loved a big moment and a big goal in a big game. Maybe, I guess his undoing was that he was not always constantly scoring in the games that meant a little bit less. But overall, Jesus gave us a moment that was just sensational. That changed what I thought was possible in the Premier League. And that will always be Gabriel Jesus' moment. And it wasn't just there as well. It was full of big moments in his career at Manchester City. I remember particularly a performance... FA Cup final. I remember his goal in the semi-final against Brighton. I remember him absolutely putting Real Madrid on their arses time and time again. Particularly, I guess, a performance away at the Bernabeu when he was selfless and ran himself into the ground, scoring a goal, of course, as well. Jesus was brilliant at times. And I think maybe the shame is, now he's gone, is a feeling that of what if he'd found that confidence that he had early on when he joined Manchester City? And he never really recaptured the magic of his first season fully again, I would argue. He came, of course, as a 19-year-old. He came as a raw, young Brazilian striker, still finding his way into the game. The guy who'd been essentially the best young player over in Brazil. And he joined Manchester City. And he joined in January, and we were all incredibly excited about this wonder kid joining us from Brazil. It felt essentially like a change of what Manchester City were these days. Like, we were never the ones that could attract these young, brilliant players, but we still got Gabriel Jesus anyway. It was phenomenal to see him come here and be so brilliant, but actually choose us, because that wasn't something that we were. And that's what Jesus symbolized, I guess. And... The early games of him were just glittered with excitement. They were absolutely wonderful. That front three of Gabriel Jesus, Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, we all thought that was going to be the future for years to come. Sergio Aguero was sat on the bench. We were so excited about this young, vibrant and lively forward line, as if this could be what we were going to witness for ages. And he came in as well, and he scored quite a few goals in that first season. Like, I'm going to look at his stats right now. In that first season, he broke in to that team, and I think he scored 6 goals in... how many he scored in his first season? Let me have a look. He scored 7 in 8 in the Premier League early on, which was, of course, incredibly impressive. We thought this guy is going to be a goal-a-game striker. His link-up play, his work rate, his liveliness, he's got it all. And at that point, don't forget, he was a striker. He was the man in the middle, and it was weird because it feels like he never really got out of Sergio Aguero's shadow. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Like, he never really quite found his confidence. I feel like if he'd stayed in the team at that point, there would have been no looking back for him. But he had to accept, essentially, that the power of Sergio Aguero was just too much in the end. It was too much. Aguero forced his way back into the team, and at that point, Jesus was often just playing backup to a club legend. And when you've got a man who's literally got a statue outside of a club now, it's really hard, I guess, to step out of that shadow. And that shadow was monstrous. It was huge, and it became really difficult for him to do that. But still, he gave it his all. He worked incredibly hard. But over the years, I think he sort of settled into essentially a squad role, which was a shame because he had so much brilliance to his game. And when you look at his stats over the years, you can sort of understand why this ended up happening. I mean, I'm going over here now to have a look at his stats over there and his expected goals and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to be a crushing bore, but I'm trying to look at what he did at Manchester City, but at the same time, be honest about what we got back from him and so on. And I think these last few years, where he says 13 over here, I'll highlight it now. This here is his expected goals here. And ultimately, his goals and expected goals kind of sort of started to drop off a little bit. I haven't got the stats for the top there for the 4, 12 and 7 goals Premier League seasons. But it's where he started to underperform a little bit. His expected goals in what season was this? The 13-goal season was 17-18. So his first full season we got the expected goals for. He should have had 14. He scored 13. That's not too bad. But then it should have been 10. Then it was 7. Then it should have been 18.5. And then it was 14. Then he matched his expected goals one year with 9 instead of 8.8. And then he should have been 10 and it was 8.8 and 8. So in the end, I did the maths. In the 62 expected goals, he got about 51 in the end, which showed sort of how he started to drop off a little bit. Basically, he didn't take this goals in a way that an elite level striker would. And you could start to see his confidence waning a tiny bit in front of goal. And don't get me wrong, he was absolutely great. He was absolutely great in his overall work rate and all that kind of stuff, and his contribution to the team with assists and so on was fantastic. But the longer time went on at Manchester City, you felt that edge from his game slowly disappearing, and he wasn't finishing chances at an elite level to force his way in ahead of Aguero, a man who was often exceeding, if not matching, his expected goals every single year. And this is what elite strikers do, and this is what Manchester City have maybe signed in Haaland. But then essentially, he ended up on the right wing at one point. Now, words went around that he preferred the right wing, that he was actually a winger and not a striker, which is at odds to a man who chose number 9 and who's now joined Arsenal to be a striker again. I think he was always a striker. Personally, he was always a striker. He came as a striker. He played as a striker until he lost his confidence and then settled out on the wing, a place that essentially lacks responsibilities compared to that number 9 role. I understand it, essentially. I get why he did that. But I think this is a man who didn't really fully know what he wanted to be anymore. Still, he was often brilliant, of course. And I want to run through his stats. I've gone over to Manchester City's website here, and they've got a bit of an article breaking down his stats over the years. 11 is the number of trophies that he's won at Manchester City. 4 Premier League titles, 4 Carabao Cups, 1 FA Cup and 2 Community Shields, a total of 11 honours. He joined as a 19-year-old and he left as a man with an absolutely huge haul of trophies. That is a second joint second best haul of Premier League titles amongst Brazilians, second only to Fernandinho. He's joined in 4 titles by City goalkeeper Ederson. Oh, wonderful stuff. Of course, he played 236 times during his spell at Manchester City. That's an awful lot of games. That's a hell of a lot of games. That is commitment and dedication. It was wonderful throughout all of them. He was used as a substitute, though, 85 times, with starting only 151 games, which is probably not enough for what he wanted. But during that, of course, he still scored an absolute ton of goals. Only 5 short of a century in the end, scoring 95 goals, 58 in the Premier League, making him the club's joint 5th highest scorer in the Premier League since the introduction in 1992. His 20 strikes in the Champions League makes him the 3rd highest scorer in European competitions in the club's history, which is wonderful, man. That's wonderful. The 2nd most prolific Brazilian Premier League history after Liverpool's Firmino. It's a good record. Not just a goal scorer as well. He registered 46 assists. So when you add those together, that's quick maths there. Oh God, I'm too tired. 141. Is that 141? 100 or 51? Yeah, 141 total there. across how many performances? 236, which is a good record, man. It's a good record. His highest scoring season was in 1920 when he scored, not 1920, 2019 stroke 20, not 1920, that's a long time ago, when he scored 23 goals across all competitions, which included 14 in 34 Premier League appearances, 6 and 8 in the Champions League, which he loved that competition, by the way, and 2 in the FA Cup matches, and 1 in the Carabao Cup. He scored 4 hat-tricks at Manchester City, and 2 of those he actually scored 4 times. Of course, last season when we beat Watford, we'll talk about that in a little bit, and in 4 against Burton Albion, I remember that well as well. The other 2 were Champions League hat-tricks against Dinamo Zagreb and Shakhtar Donetsk. He had his 50 of his international caps while at Manchester City as well. So overall, his record was decent, man. It was a decent record. But it wasn't an incredible record, unfortunately. It was just a good record at Manchester City. Big love to Kieran Kehir for the super chat, who said, sad to see him leave, but works well for all parties, dreading his inevitable goals against us. Long live Sir Gabriel. Indeed, Kieran, it's fitting words, man. Like, I can't wait. I think it works well for everyone. I think he wants to obviously stay in England and work at a team that's going to suit him. And I wish him all the best, genuinely. He's going to score against us. I've already accepted that. I'm not going to hate him for it. I'm going to love him for it anyway. But yeah, I dread it too. But Kieran, absolutely bang on, man. Long live Sir Gabriel. A guy, of course, who gave me my favourite celebration of all time. That one. I will never stop using that GIF ever on Twitter. Never stop using it. It's my favourite GIF, bar absolutely none. But basically, a legend at Manchester City. I mean, so we talk about why he's left then. Because to me, why he's left feels like a big, important part of this picture. Now, obviously, we all know he's left because, essentially, things have changed at Man City. They have a little bit of light. It's a bit dark. Things have changed a tiny bit. Erling Haaland has joined Manchester City, as has Julian Alvarez, which means, essentially, his chances, they're going to be limited, if not very different now at the club. According to Jack Gorn, he's left because he wants to be a striker over at Arsenal. He also, of course, had 1 year left on his contract, so it was inevitable that without agreeing him to get a new contract, and I actually think, by the way, he could have stayed and got more money if he wanted to, but I reckon there was a relative honesty between him and his camp. I would not be surprised if he said, look, I'm probably not going to want to stay in a year, so if you want to sell me now and get some money, go for it. I wouldn't be surprised if he was that open and that honest, because that was the kind of player he was, man. Like, he didn't really leave anything hidden. And basically, in this instance, you kind of have to understand why he's gone. His game time will be limited now, given the fact that Haaland's here. And Alvarez is going to be the shiny new thing. Alvarez is essentially the Jesus to Aguero. So when Jesus came in and uprooted things all those years ago, Alvarez will be looking to do the same. And the person Alvarez will be aiming at is Gabriel Jesus in that squad. So unfortunately, he's going to have to move on, basically. As Daniel just said in the chat, it's like kids, when kids get shiny new toys, the old ones get forgotten. And Gabriel Jesus ultimately is the old one. It's weird with Jesus because he did have those spells like towards the end of the season where he would look brilliant, but then he'd have games where he'd just miss easy chances, and it got to him too much. It got to him too much at times. And I remember when he scored 4 goals after Watford, and he was in incredible form, only a couple of months back, of course. He was absolute fire that day. And all he said about himself was, well, you know, I'm no Sergio. And he played himself down in a way like that. It almost broke my heart a little bit. I was thinking, Gabby, man, like, play yourself up, man. Give yourself the credit that you deserve. You've just scored 4 goals. You're an elite level striker in the Premier League, who's won Premier Leagues and Carabao Cups and played in the Champions League finals and stuff like that. Give yourself the credit that you deserve. And all he could do in that moment when he was the centre of the spotlight was be the most humble little guy in the world, which was such classic Gabriel Jesus. But he compared himself to Sergio. And you could tell he was still very much in his shadow in Gabriel Jesus' head. And like, I wanted him to go, well, you know, I played really well today. I'm delighted, and this is what I can offer this team. He was being honest, but he was too honest. You could tell that honesty was actually insecurity, and that was the problem, man. It was insecurity. Like, you want a striker who believes he could be Sergio Aguero. Are you telling me Erling Haaland thinks he can't do that? Of course he can. And the problem is, strikers have to be fearless that way. And as fearless as he was with his work rate and his desire, he wasn't fearless in front of goal, and that was his biggest problem. The amount of times he missed a chance and he would sit there like this, like, absolutely berating himself with anger. And I used to sit there thinking, Gabby, man, stop it, get it up. Chances are missed. Aguero did not beat himself up over a missed chance, nor did Messi, nor did people like Ronaldo, nor do someone like Haaland. They get frustrated, but then they crack on and move on. And his problem was that maybe at times he just cared too much about his own performances to an extent that he got debilitating, or he cared too much about what people thought about him, and he needed to care a little bit less. I get the impression that Gabriel Jesus is a very loving man. Like, genuinely, his celebration over the years, Hello May, of course, was dedicated to his mum, and Mummy's boy is always a good thing. I can relate to that, man. Like, you love your mum, you're probably a good person. And I got the impression, though, that he didn't care about his own status enough at times. Like, he thought too much in terms of thought inside his head. He thought an awful lot as well, but he overthought things at times. And sometimes I was thinking, just don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt yourself. But he did. I think. He's sent it on the pitch. And that's not always conducive to scoring a load of goals. I mean, he did really well, but I think he could have done better. And I do love the guy, man. And I do wish him all the best at Arsenal. And maybe now, when he goes there, maybe when he becomes the absolutely undisputed number 9, which he's got that shirt, and he is the figurehead. And he will improve Arsenal, by the way. He will show the Arsenal team how to win and how to work and how to run and how to essentially score as well. Like, I know it sounds really kind of reductive to just boil him down to his mentality, but honestly, it's his biggest attribute. Obviously, technically, he's fantastic, and he has got one of my favourite moves in football is Gabriel Jesus' drop of the shoulder when he darts past on the inside channel and gets to the byline. He's really good at that. So he'll bring that to Arsenal. He'll bring experience as well. And it's crazy to say that given he's only 25 years old. But Gabriel Jesus is a very experienced 25 years old. Honestly, he's packed so much into his career already. Like, so much. Loads of experience over in Brazil, of course, winning stuff there and being the wonder kid, then winning Premier League titles and winning trophies domestically and reaching a Champions League final and representing his country and being the golden boy for them. That experience will absolutely help the likes of Saka and Martinelli and even people like Odegaard, who've been around brilliance as well. This really will help them. He will show them exactly what it takes to be a young talented player, but then actually make it as a senior international with respect and performances to back it up. Because even though he didn't do it every single week, they bought basically a winner. I agree with GB in the chat. They brought a winner who's coming into his prime for around £45 million, £50 million. That ultimately could prove a bargain for them. He will show them exactly how to work and how to commit themselves in every single game. And that desire is admirable, man. No bullshit, man. No bullshit from Gabriel Jesus, and that's what I'm admiring. Mark saying, nothing but all our best wishes for Gabby. Indeed, Mark. Nothing but all our best wishes, indeed. He's a man who absolutely deserves that goodwill sentiment because he's a man who's earned it through his work rate on the pitch. And big love to him as well. So he's gone, and I think it's the right call for what it's worth. I think it is the right call. I think he was right. His game time would be limited because we're not going to see him on the wing as much these days. I don't think we will do. I think what we'll want from a winger will be different now we've got Haaland and Alvarez. And I think he doesn't want to be a winger. I think he wants to start every week, not fighting for a right wing spot with the likes of, I don't know, Mahrez or whatever. If Sterling's still there, probably won't be. But I don't think he wants that. And I think City have accepted that, even though it would be great to keep him round, he is going to be stuck there battling everyone else. And I think he's just a bit too experienced for that now. And it's the right time for him to go, I reckon. I think we will miss him, but not in the way that we probably think. Like, I think we'll ultimately move on, but we'll miss him for what he did and we'll have fond memories. But I don't think it'll change us too much on the pitch. I think ultimately we will be fine. I mean, it's the right call. It is the right call. Like, give young Cole Palmer some game time on the right. Let's see what Haaland and Alvarez do. And mainly as well because it makes us a little bit less predictable. Jesus was fantastic, but Haaland and Alvarez are something different. It's something exciting. And it's something to be said sometimes for bringing in players that you don't know what they can do and you don't know how they'll react in certain situations because the opposition, they don't understand it either. And Haaland will bring something a little bit different. I do, yeah, Sean said, well, Messi swagger on the pitch, he makes football fun. Sometimes that's what it's all about. Indeed, and Sean also said, Arteta is getting a goal scorer, he can work off the ball and attack, which is important. Aubameyang was lazy, he was, and Lacazette didn't have the dynamism at all either, so I agree with that. Yeah, and I do wish they win the Europa League, actually. I've got a lot of goodwill for Arteta and Gabriel Jesus, and I like their side, actually. I don't wish Arsenal win the Europa League. I think I hope that Jesus does well, is what I will say. I think he'll suit in. I think he'll fit for them, and I think it's a very good signing for them. A smart signing, and he's definitely Champions League quality. So I tweeted out, what were your favourite Gabriel Jesus moments? I'll jump over here. We'll go over to here and read some of them. Lee saying winning goals. Southampton to clinch the 100 points. Stamford Bridge to beat Chelsea. The Bernabeu to beat Madrid, of course, yeah. Ollie saying he was excellent in the FA Cup final in 2019. He was monster player that day, and he defo had that big game gene in him. Real Madrid away, of course, wonderful. Home and away, Real Madrid there. 100 points goal, both legs against Madrid back in 2020. 4 goals last season, everything. The 100 points, of course, coming up. Someone see Ant-Man seeing him in, not the Ant-Man. Seeing him in the arcade in the Trafford Centre, buzzing about the vouchers he's won. That's off the pitch. On it when he humiliated Liverpool in a 5-0 hammering at home. And he did. He did that day. He was absolutely brilliant. He was wonderful. Southampton, of course, coming up. I mean, that's it. I mean, that is the moment, isn't it? That is... Look, Gabriel Jesus is going down in Premier League history for one of those moments that everyone knows. 100 points, and that is Gabriel Jesus' legacy. That's ridiculous, isn't it, and that GIF, my GIF, man. What is it? It's like, I will never stop using that GIF. I love it. Of course, it has to be that. He said Centurion's goal, Real Madrid away. That they seems to be the thing, really, basically. The first 6 months were great as well, definitely. Nearly broke my laptop when he scored 100 points. Watford in April. Reports came out that morning he was leaving. Then he scored 4 that afternoon. It was a great day, man. I was there working with City that day. It was wonderful. A lot of people say Madrid. Swansea 2017 was a bit of a moment. God, that was a while back, mate. The lobby at Shakhtar to get his first hat-trick. That was nice as well. Never get tired of posting this. Yep, I'm not going to keep it on screen, though, because I will get copyright protected. Major Romy said fans love players that work hard, and while acknowledging the 100 points goals to highlight his work rate can never be questioned. Love him for that. His Chelsea and Pool goals are underrated. I agree, indeed. Absolutely agree. He was great last season in the big games for us, of course. Against big teams there. Absolutely huge for us. For me, it'll always be a moment he made Varane look like a Sunday League player in Champions League. He did indeed, man. He bullied him that day. He absolutely bullied him. His equaliser against Liverpool. Yeah, I agree. The way he shrugged off Ramos as well and heading it past Courtois. Nah, I agree. Not many players could pull that off, Siraj. Absolutely right, man. I'm going to go to the quote tweets. I don't know what the quote tweets will be saying, and it could be a bit hit and miss here, but we'll go to it anyway. People just using their agendas because they are absolutely boring. Imagine being that boring. 100 points, 2019 Copa run and red card, celebrations, big game goals, so many things. Look at him, mugging him here. It's wonderful. Ending the Varane Ramos pairing. He did end him. Someone making a Glenn Johnson joke. His return from injury against United in 16-17, that day was mental. Gabriel Jesus had a really, really bit of bad luck about getting offside goals, didn't he? He always got offside goals. It was so unlucky for him, man. It was so unlucky. He deserved so much better. He was so unfortunate so often, but that's just how it is. He was always like an inch or two away from getting a ton of goals. He was so close. VAR did him dirty so many times. But Gabby, basically, to me, he goes with, not that he needs my blessing, but he goes with so much love from Manchester City. And I can't wait to see him come back to United. I got a feeling he'll be cheered an awful lot. And rightfully so, because this guy, he's earned that. He's earned that legacy. He's earned that tribute. And you'll get it. You'll get it at City. And I can't wait to see how he gets on next season at Arsenal as well. But Gabby, a great man, a great player. Probably underrated, if anything, at times. His time joined Manchester City. He gave it his all, scored loads of goals, a bit of a fan favourite for his work rate, a brilliant player. Maybe didn't become the superstar that we want him to be, but he definitely became a top quality footballer forward. And he definitely did us some beautiful moments for Manchester City. Gabby, thank you so much. Of course, City are changing an awful lot right now. We've got Calvin Phillips coming later today. I don't know what time it's coming up, no idea. Absolutely zero idea, but it's going to be absolutely... it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Gabby, a legend. I'm sure we'll talk about him again on videos, but I'm going to go around, finish my breakfast and all that kind of stuff because I'm tired. Just got out of bed for this video. But Gabby, you're worth getting out of bed for because you're a legend. One more time. I can't do that again. In a bit, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Big love, Gabby. Legend.